Welcome to Freedive Live, episode number 23. My name is Ted Hardy. I'm the founder of Immersion Freediving as well as freedivingsafety.com. If you haven't visited freedivingsafety.com, it's a free course, or website that I created that gives anyone who visits a free course that goes over the risks of the sport. Right, you're gonna learn the truth about blackout. You're gonna get into the fatality numbers in the sport. You're going to find out if you're how to tell if you're overweighted. I'll be discussing breathing so that you can find out if you're breathing in such a way that would make it more likely that you would have a blackout. You're going to learn what a loss of motor control looks like, what a blackout looks like, and ultimately what to do if your buddy has a loss of motor control or a blackout, right? And it's free, right? Anyone can access it. And not only to sweeten the deal, I know people don't get super excited about freediving safety for reasons I don't understand. Like, seems like learning how to not kill yourself would be more important to people. But I also have a quiz in the program, and if you pass the quiz, you will get an email with discounts from 9 of the sponsors of freedivingsafety.com. So learn to save yourself, learn to save your buddy, or save some money. Either way, there's no reason not to visit freedivingsafety.com. Happy to see you got your stickers. Very cool. My virtual assistant is finally, I got a virtual assistant that's sending all that stuff out, right? So I apologize for the delay. Moving forward now, it'll be done in a timely manner because I'm not in charge of it because I'm not good at that sort of stuff. So the way the show works is typically I will go over entertaining or educational story from my career. I will pick a topic to discuss in depth, and then I will answer your questions live. So for those of you that if you have any questions, what I want you to do is you can put them in the comments. What I try to do as best I can, if you put a question in the comments, I'm not going to address it as soon as you put it up. I basically wait to the end of the show, and then I have a way where I can go back and look through all of the old, make sure I have that up. Yep, all the old comments, and then I'll answer the questions at the end. So today I will be discussing one of my biggest pet peeves as a freediving instructor. What I'll be discussing in depth is this idea of head position and the 4 negative things that happen to you when you insist on, instead of diving like this, doing like this where you're looking where you're going. And then, as always, I will be answering your questions. The other thing I do is at the end of the show, I will be able to go through and update the post and put links and whatnot that I'll be talking about. For instance, one of my most popular courses, it drives me crazy. This is my most popular course. I have a free course on how to increase your bottom time by taking a 20 to 30% bigger breath. This is the first thing, one of the first things my students learn in my classroom. And it's no different than a car. If you put 20 to 30% more gas in a car, it's going to go 20 to 30% farther, right? If you put 20 to 30% more air in your lungs, you're going to immediately be able to hold your breath longer and increase your bottom time, right? So I've got a free course that goes over that. I'll be putting a link to that when I'm done with the show. I'll put it up where you can access that course. Drives me nuts that that's the most popular course. The safety course, not so interested. If I can learn how to, dive deeper on my breath longer, they're much more interested in that than learning how to not kill themselves. All right, so one of my biggest pet peeves as a freediving instructor. So I've been doing this for 10 years, and I've been seeing it for 10 years, and it drives me nuts, right? And so here's what it is, right? We go out to the ocean, and, right, sometimes the ocean's flat calm, sometimes there's seas, right? So typical, what I do is if it's 4 foot or less, we'll be out there, right? If it's, I only teach during the summer mostly, so that's, in Fort Lauderdale, that's when the seas are the flattest, and that's why I do that. But anyway, you get out there, and sometimes there's seas, right? And sometimes people get seasick. I got no problem about people that get seasick. I feel so bad when people get seasick. I used to get seasick all the time. Some of my first, memories of the ocean were, being on these fishing trips with my dad for I was on for 10 hours, and I was throwing up the first 30 minutes, but it wasn't his trip, so we couldn't turn around. So anyway, I have much empathy for people that get seasick. I hate it. I used to get seasick all the time. I basically didn't get over it until I started working as a dive instructor. Then when you work on a boat every day, what do you know? You can get over it. So this is what drives me crazy, right? So if someone's seasick, I feel terrible for them. They can either stay in the water, hold on to the rig, then go back to whatever they want to do, right? But I get this all the time, right? I say something like, oh, I'm sorry you're not feeling, you're getting seasick, but you can either hang out on the float. Sometimes people feel better, and then you get back in the water. If you just want to go back to the boat and whatever you want to do, I'm not seasick. Okay, well, it's rough, right? No, I'm not seasick. It's just I didn't get enough sleep last night, or it's just something I ate, or they started making all these excuses, they're constantly saying they're not seasick. Like I had this one guy, he was throwing up. It was rough. It was 3 foot seas out there, right? And so he was throwing up, and I said something about, I'm sorry I was seasick, and he's like, I'm not seasick. And I'm like, well, Ted, when I go underwater, he goes, I feel fine. He's like, but then when I come up, I'm like, yeah. I'm like, the seasick. He's like, no, but Ted, you don't understand. When I go underwater, I feel completely fine. I'm like, I feel great. I'm like, yeah. And then when you come to the surface, where the seas are, you get sick. That's what we call seasickness, right? And he just kept going on and on about how, he wasn't seasick. So if you've got people that are like that, you can just tell them that it's, they have surface wave sickness. That way they don't feel bad about being seasick. Oh, no, you're not seasick. You just have surface. Oh, sorry, Francesca. Surface wave sickness, right? But anyway, that's probably one of my biggest pet peeves is the the excuses that I didn't get enough sleep last night or something. I always joke, I remember when I used to wear a suit and tie and work in an office. If I didn't get enough sleep, I would just randomly walk into the conference room and start vomiting all over the table. No, if it's rough outside and you're throwing up, it's because you're seasick. So just do what I do and say, this sucks, I'm seasick, and then just deal with it. All right. So next game plan, we'll be discussing head position. So if you take a freediving course from pretty much anywhere, right? I don't care if it's a PADI course, a NAUI course, a PFI, FI, ADA, Apnea Academy, any freediving course in almost any agency in any country in this world, they're going to tell the students the first day to stop doing this one thing. And this is something that almost all divers will do. Basically, unless they take a freediving course and someone tries to encourage them not to do it, because it's completely natural. It's a very hard habit to break. So what am I talking about? What I'm talking about is most freedivers, when they're freediving down, do this. They look where they're going, right? So if I was, swimming down the bottom of the pool, they're going down like this. They see the bottom of the pool. If they're going down, they're swimming in the ocean, they go down like this so they can see the bottom of the ocean. They can see where they're going the whole time. Okay? If you take any freediving class, they're going to tell you, quit doing that. Right? Now, why? There's very good reasons why we don't want to do that and why that causes issues. The other thing, for those that are tuning in, if you guys have questions, please put those in the comments and I will address those towards the end. So let's go over the reasons why we want to be descending like this and not like this, looking where we're going. Oh my God, is it the plate? Right? So let's go over that. Reason number one, and I would argue this is the most important because it's a safety issue. Listen to the sound of my voice, right? When I look straight ahead, which this is the way that we should be descending. I call this neutral head position, right? Because it's like if you're sitting on the couch watching TV, that's the way it's in, right? That's the way you want your head to be in, right? Listen what happens to the sound of my voice when I start to look up to the surface. Oh my God, it sounds all funny. And then when I bring my head back down, it sounds normal again. And then when I look at oh my God, where's the plate? Am I there yet? Oh my God, right? When I stretch it out like that, when I look where I'm going, the voice sounds different, right? Because that's my trachea, right? So my trachea, when I look straight ahead, let's say my trachea is like this big, right? When I look where I'm going, I'm stretching out that trachea, right? I'm stretching it out. Now the trachea, it's like cartilage is semi-rigid. So something that's semi-rigid is not very flexible. If I take something that's not very flexible and then I increase its length, can you understand do you understand it's going to make it less flexible? You say something that's not very flexible and you to it, right? That thing is going to become less flexible. So as we continue, if we to do this, right, which stretches the trachea out, it increases the risk for a lung or tracheal squeeze. We actually start coughing up, most likely a tracheal squeeze, right? Which is going to cause a tear, right? Which is going to cause a bleed, which is going to cause, and you're coughing up blood, right? And the tracheal and lung squeeze is just as bad as it sounds. I can get into all of that in this episode, but you don't want to have one. And what I'll tell you is, if you continue to insist on looking where you're going to increase the likelihood that you will have a lung or tracheal squeeze, especially as you continue to dive deeper and deeper and continue to do this and this, right? So definitely, I would argue one of the biggest reasons we don't want to crank our head like that, okay? Reason number 2, we want to, whether you're free diving, whether you're a competitive free diver, a line free diver, a spear fisherman, a photographer, underwater basket weaver, whatever it is you do underwater, there's really no reason you wouldn't want to be able to go down straight like a laser, right? Perfectly straight, right? A lot of free divers going down at angles, right? I mean, if you want to increase your bottom time, go down straight, right? I have, people call me on the phone. They're like, Ted, like, if you guarantee me that I'm going to sign up for your class right now. If you would just guarantee me that, that I would get just 5 seconds, just 10 seconds of bottom time from taking the class, like, I'll sign up right now. I'm like, look, save your money. If all you want is 5 seconds extra bottom time, you don't need to take my class. You just need to dive down straight like a laser. Quit going down at an angle, and you will instantly get the bottom time that you're so looking for, right? So we want to be able to go down straight. There are lots of reasons people don't go down straight, but one of them is that idea of your head position, right? So when I look where I'm going, right, what that does is that rotates the pelvis, okay? And then what that does, because you're like, what the hell does that matter, right? But when we rotate the pelvis, that changes the dynamic of the kick, and that matters, and that makes us go down at angles. So, okay, so if I were to kick like this is what I call a symmetrical kick. You will notice that it is equally forward and equally back. Like it says symmetrical, right? If you kick like this, you're going to go down straight. Okay? That's what we want. It's not the way most people coming into my programs don't kick like that. I tell students, you're kicking behind your body. And they're like, I don't understand what that means, Ted. You're speaking gobbledygook, right? This is a symmetrical kick. That's not the way most people kick. Most people kick like this, right? So this, if I'm kicking like this, can you understand that's going to propel me this way, right? Kicking like this propels me this way, which I want. Kicking like this behind my body is going to kick me down to an angle. When you look where you're going, that mechanically rotates your pelvis, right? And when you rotate your pelvis, that takes the kick and makes it go like this, right? And the more you crank your head, the more that pelvis is going to rotate, the more the kick's going to behind you, the more you go down at angles, okay? So, reason number 1, we don't want to do that. Increased risk of lung tracheal squeeze. Reason number 2, we don't want to do that. It's going to make us go down at angles, and I don't care what you're doing underwater. I can't think of any reason you would prefer to go down at an angle than want to go down straight like a laser. Okay. Reason number 3, the biggest holdup, the biggest difficulty in free diving, in my opinion, is going to be equalizing the ears. Right, my entry-level students. Right, my entry-level students, the freediver course, they struggle with, getting stuck at 15 or 30 feet, right? I mean, if you're a freediver or someone, they get stuck in the shallows 15, 30 feet, doesn't matter how hard they equalize, they just can't do it. It's because they're not using the right method of equalization for freediving, which is Frenzel. I just had a class this weekend, and 3 out of the 4 people were doing Valsalva, which means they were stuck at 15 feet. So I had to spend almost so much time teaching them how to do Frenzel. And that's another, I'll put in the comments, I've got a course that goes over how to do that. But if you're a freediver and you struggle at 15 to 30 feet, or maybe you notice that you struggle on the way down, but as soon as you turn your head up, you can equalize just fine, then that's what's going on, right? So anyway, when we're looking where we're going, so if I'm, let's see if this will work. Yeah, so if I'm looking this way, there's a straight path to the eustachian tube. When I crank my head like this, looking where I'm going, that puts a kink in the eustachian tube. So now the air's got to pass around this bend. The eustachian tube is tiny, right? So when we crank our head like that, the air has to go around this bend, and it's harder to equalize, right? So my freediver students, they struggle with Frenzel, but if they get that, then they'll be able to get to 66 feet, no problem. Then the next kind of level in the intermediate course is students struggle to equalize their ears around 80 to 100 feet because they got to learn how to do these other, equalizing techniques, right? And then you look at the advanced students or competitive freedivers. They're almost every what depth you're limited on, what depth you dive to is mostly going to be limited on your ability to equalize. So all I'm saying is when we look where you're going, we make equalizing harder. We do not want to make equalizing harder. It is such a limiting factor in so many people's freediving. So yet another reason we want our head right in neutral position. Okay. Now, when I talk about neutral position, I mean just what I said. Like this is neutral position. This is right. If you're in my class, I ain't gonna let you do that, right? I'm gonna go to tell you not to do that. If that doesn't work, I'm gonna tap you on the back of the head. And if that doesn't work, I'm gonna grab your head underwater and give you a chiropractic adjustment underwater. Eventually, they get so tired of me barking at them that they just get their head in the right position. I don't care how we get there, as long as ultimately we get there, because it's a safety issue. But neutral head position is fine. I will take that all day. In my opinion, I think slightly better than neutral head position is just a slight, right, like this. Now, as soon as I tell students that, I see them doing this. I'm not saying put your chin on your chest. I'm saying slight 45 degree, right? So this is really cool. If I'm going down, if I'm pulling down the line or going down, because if I'm looking straight ahead, I see the line in blue water. If I have a slight tilt, just a slight tilt, now I see the line and I see the surface upside down underwater. Right? I see the rig, I see all the students up there. It's really cool. It's really relaxing. Right? So when I say neutral head position, I'm happy with neutral, but tuck is slightly even better. All right, so another reason we don't want to go down, I don't know if I'm able to demonstrate this without knocking over all my computer equipment, is streamlining. Okay, so streamlining. When I'm descending down to depth, right, I'm going to have my head in good position, right? So if you were, so you guys can see, right? So this would be position that I went in, right? And I've got my head in the right position. My students don't go down like this. They all are looking at the plate and they're going, oh my God, am I there yet? How much farther do I have to go? Right? Where a smart freediver is going to have their head like this, right? So you can imagine if I've got two hands, like this is a streamline position. This is what you look like when you look where you're going, right? You're pushing all of that through the water, right? I got a big head. And if I'm looking up like that, I have to plow all of that through the water, right? So another reason we don't want to look where we're going is the reason I don't look where I'm going is I'm lazy, right? I don't want to do the extra work, right? So that's why we want the head tucked in. Okay. So we got risk of lung and tracheal squeeze, increases that, right? Makes equalization harder. It makes us go down at angles, and right, it just makes it more work. I always joke with my students, like if you're maxing out this course and you think this is just so simple and it's so easy, and you say, Ted, could you please make this harder? Yeah, try that same dive with your head cranked like that. I promise it'll be absolutely more difficult, just like you're hoping for. Right, so reasons that you want to try to stop that. And this isn't just me that says this. You take any freediving class on any continent by any agency, and they're all going to instruct their students to stop doing that, right? And to get that head in position. Now, the question is, well, what do you do if you need to look at the bottom, right? For whatever you're doing, right? So, as an instructor, sometimes I might want to take a peek at, I try to stay with the students. If I'm even with them, I don't need to look up because I'm just eye to eye with them, right? But if I need to look for whatever reason, what I do is instead of going like this to see what I need to see, right? I'm just going to go like this. I just lean back at the waist, right? So when I go like this, I can see the ceiling where I am, right? But that stretches out my trachea. If I need to do it, I just go like that. I can still see the same thing, right? And so I'm not stretching anything, right? And I'm not being as much drag. But the main thing is I don't stretch the trachea, all right? So I just kind of rock back at the waist, see what I need to see, and then go back like that. I get a lot of flack because I have the classes I teach in Fort Lauderdale. I get a lot of spear fishermen, and they definitely are highly resistant to that. Which I understand. And so here's what I would say. If you're freediving in 20 foot of water and you're sight fishing, right? I mean, you're seeing the fish from the surface. When you make a drop, I can understand you're going to want to have your head like this because you don't want to, otherwise you're going to lose the fish. So I can understand that, right? But when you start hunting, 50 feet, 60 feet, you're probably not spotting the fish from the surface, right? Because it's too deep, right? So at that point, when you start diving into those deeper things, then it's about, okay, how can I get down there as efficiently as possible so that I have the most time down there, right? So what you can do, what I do, I know Jeremy talks about this. Jeremy Gamble's owner of Spearing Magazine. He goes down perfect head position, doesn't look, and then he peaks halfway down, right? So if he's going to 66 feet, halfway down at 33 feet, he's going to take a peek, see what's going on, then goes back down, and then 3 or 4 more kicks, flattens out, and then starts his hunt, right? This is also nice because my intermediate students, they know what depth they are based on how many kicks they are, right? So they're trained to know it takes this many kicks to get to 33 feet and this many kicks to get to 66 feet. So they have a built-in depth sounder, right? So they know where they are and they know when they're halfway point to stop and peak, which is a very useful ability in my opinion. All right, so if you guys have questions, put those in the comments. So one of the most popular programs that I have currently is my 28-day freediving transformation program. So this is, so I always ask, freedivers this. I say, look, as a freediver, wouldn't you want to increase your bottom time, dive deeper, and feel more comfortable at depth? Right? And of course, anytime I ask any freediver that, they're like, well, yeah, of course I would, Ted. Right? Then it's okay, well, what are you currently doing to achieve that result? And the typical answer is, well, I go freediving whenever I can. Yeah, but that's not training, right? That's just hoping that you're going to get better by going diving, right? If you look at any athlete that's serious about any sport, they're all going to do specific and targeted training, right? And there's one thing that competitive freedivers know how to do. We know how to do specific and targeted training. Like competitive freediver, we dive crazy deep. We can stay down there a stupid long time because we do very specific targeted training that the general recreational freediver and spearfishermen don't do and are completely unaware of, right? So the 28-day program goes over the 5 most effective and efficient dry land training exercises you can do at home, which is awesome. Because look, if you get to go, if you get to go freediving 7 days a week, then in the ocean, then you don't really need this program. But most people are limited by their ocean time, right? So this is a program that allows you to do the training at home, right? Don't need to go to the pool, or don't need to go to the ocean. As far as what the program entails, you need to do, you're going to get daily workouts, right? I'm going to tell you what to do each day, what days to take off, but you're going to do 3 breath holds a week. 2 of them, yeah, they're difficult. You're not going to particularly love doing them. 2 of them are hard. One of them is, in fact, easy, and I think that's the most interesting one, and that's the one that's going to teach you to learn to minimize and delay your contractions, right? And because it's the easy one, I like it because you get a little kind of excited about it compared to the other ones. So you got to do 3 breath holds a week, and then 2 days of the week, you don't do any breath holds. You're just going to do some stretching routines, like 5 minutes of stretching, right? And then 2 days you get off. Right, so it basically boils down to 2 hours a week, right? You stack that together for 28 days, right? And that's going to radically transform your physiology and make it better suited for freediving by increasing your mammalian dive reflex, right? So you get access to all that program. You get access to another course that I have included, Breath Hold Secrets, and you also get access to a private Facebook group where I can answer the students' questions, right? So they go in, they report in every day and say, hey, day 1 I did this workout, day 2 I did this workout. It's cool. All the students are talking to each other, and then they have questions. Then obviously I am there to answer those questions. All right, so I'll put the link up to that program when I'm done with the show. So I'll be back tomorrow, same time, 7 p.m. On that episode, I will be discussing why you won't feel the blackout coming, especially in the ocean, right? So it just drives me insane, right? For 10 years, I've been doing everything I can to, promote safety. And, people say things like, well, Ted, I appreciate all that safety stuff you do. And my kids, absolutely, they need to do that. But I don't push myself. I know my limits. I've never had a problem. I just come up before I would black out, right? And it drives me crazy, right? So I'm going to explain the science behind why that argument is not a good argument and is not valid and really grounded in reality whatsoever, right? So you're going to learn why it is that these blackouts, especially in the ocean, can come on with absolutely no warning, like none, right? You would feel fine. So when you say like, but I don't push myself, I know my limits, you're going to understand that just is really a bunch of bunk, right? Because it's not grounded in reality or physics. All right, so that's what I'll be discussing on the next episode. So I will see you guys next week, tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, see you guys. Dive safe out there.